So in this video, we're going to show you how to change the bearing on a Speed Queen or a Hipsch Horizon Washer. Stay tuned.
Hear that? That's the sound of money. You wanna know what sound of money is? That's it. Ching, 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 ching. Ching, 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 ching.
So you've decided to purchase a Horizon washer, and now you have a bearing problem. And you'd like to be able to fix it because, well, the dealer's gonna charge you a lot of money. A bearing kit alone for a Horizon washer can be anywhere in the range of 200 to 300 United States dollars cost-wise. And labor's probably going to be about another 150, 200 bucks. But don't fret, this is actually a very easy repair. Not only were these made to be easy to install, they were made pretty easy to repair if you know a few tricks. Alright, so the first thing is you have to remove it from its base. Now a lot of Hipsch and Speed Queen Horizons were put on wooden bases. The dealers would make 2x6 bases. And I'm sure you've seen it in your laundromat. Down here, somewhere down there, there'll be a screw and another screw into the wood. You pull that out. You have to take this cover off, which has two 5/16 screws right there. You take that off. If you have a lot of room behind your washer, you're gonna have to move it. I happen to be lucky. I got a bunch of them laying around in here because as I replace machines, I bring them into the dead room, which is what this is, the graveyard, and I take out all the parts I want. Now the sad thing is this is a perfectly good running machine, but old Horizons have no value. I mean, we're talking $300–400. There's actually $300–400 worth of parts just in the door, so that makes no sense for me to sell it when down the road I'm going to be buying those parts back. So I part them out. If I can get them to last 10, 12 years, I usually part them out after that. So that brings us to the back of the machine. Now let's say we've rolled this out and we've pulled it away. You got your electric cord you gotta get out of the way. Now, Horizons come in two models, gravity drain and pump drain. That's right, kids, don't buy the pump drain. These suck. What happens is stuff gets caught in that propeller and it gives you an error. And it can't drain out the water, and then the customers are pissed. Trust me, if you can do it, go to gravity drains. I'm actually going to convert a bunch of these over because I don't like these. So anyway, I'm not going to be too worried about this pipe at the moment. It's going to move here in a second. Where we need to start first is the 5/16 screws on the back of the panel. There looks like there's 5 on one side, 5 on the other. There's going to be 2 or 3 up on top on the inside of this machine also. Make sure you also get the 3 down here by my toe. There's 3 5/16 screws that this back panel attaches to the base. Then on top of that, besides the back panel, we're also going to have to remove a couple of the side ones, just at the back. There's only 2, one in front, one in back. The reason we got to move those is it's the only way to spread this panel out to get this panel out, because we got to pull this out to get to the bearing. Now, if you're taking this apart, and I had this comment from a viewer, and he was 100% right. Now, you'll see me use the old 5/16 tool here. You can use an impact to take these screws out. Be very careful when you put them back in with an impact, because the tabs that they screw into, you can break those real easy. So I wouldn't recommend putting it back together that way, or you'd be very careful when you do it. But I didn't bring mine with me, so I'm going to do it this way. And it won't take me that long, and I need the exercise because I'm a little chunky. Now I had another question while I'm doing this. I had another question from a person about retirees and laundromats. And that question came from an individual, and I'll call him JC. JC asked, he said, I'm going to be retired. Is a laundromat a good thing for me to do if I'm going to travel a little bit and my wife's still going to be working? A laundromat is an excellent adventure for a retiree. As long as you have some skills and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty a little bit and you don't mind a little bit of a headache once in a while. It's perfect business for you. especially as a retiree, you can rent your laundromat, you can rent the store, you can rent the location, you can lease it basically. Now I own my properties because I'm young, and see, by the time I get these paid off, I can sell the laundromat, keep the building, and then I can be the landlord that leases to the next owner. That's what I could do. Or I could run the laundromat, own the building, lease out the other spaces like I do already. But it is a great business for a retiree. Now to flip up this lid, what you need to do is unlock the panel, take the panel out. There's going to be 2 screws. And I've already taken this apart, but the screws are going to go from these little holes here up into these tabs. Now these, I'm going to show you. These are the tabs I'm talking about, that if you screw into them too tight, you'll break those metal tabs. Now don't fret. I know what you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to go buy these tabs from Speed Queen. You can get them at Maynard's. They actually have that in the specialty fastener section. They may not have a lot of them, but I'll buy them there. I'll also find big packages of them on eBay. Good to get some. Now the lid can flip all the way over, so we're not too worried about it. Now for efficiency's sake, I already took a few screws out for you. But basically when you open up the lid, this is where all your computer plugs in. You got your coin mechanism, that's a transformer. That's dead space. And then you got this thing. Now, this is how it's going to look when you open that thing up. It's your wire harness. Down there is your actual belt. And then there's the bearing right in there. Here's the tube that comes out of the laundry that goes down into your tank. So if your soap and that right there is the valve for your soap. That's what tells it to put water in the bleach and the detergent area. So we want to take this panel out. There's a 5/16 screw there. There's one in the middle. There's one on the side there. There's 2 more on that side. All we got to do is drag that out of our way for right now. Now, what I like to do is, you see this wire, that's your power wire. I like to unhook it from right here. This is it. This is it right here. Real simple. Cut these zip ties and unplug that. Now, down here, you can actually pull these out from the other side. You can actually push the tabs together to get that wire harness moved. But let's get this out. There's one. There's 2. Now see, this is your power cord right there. And it's just a real simple pull it apart. And there goes that. Now it has a grounding wire you'll have to unhook too, which is hooked to this panel. And we just have these harnesses to unplug. No special tabs, they just pull apart. And then you just feed them through. And you can actually just pull this completely out of our way now. Now I know I told you those tabs are right here. You see that plastic tab? All we gotta do, and this would be handier with pliers, but I'll use channel locks because I'm brave. All we gotta do is take and you just squeeze the sides of those tabs and you push it in. There you go. That's all you do. There should be another one right here. We're going to unhook this hose once we pop it off. We got that side spread apart. We're going to make sure that side is. And then, got to be a little careful because some of this metal is sharp. See? Just slides out like that. Now, everything but the hose is going to come off. So now we got to get down here. This hose is still attached, and it should be 5/16 unless they used some other size. Nope, it is. I'm not worried about losing the hose clip, but if you were, you could move it over. I only got 2 hands and I got a camera. You just unscrew that, and there might be water, so be careful. Yeah, we're gonna have water all over myself. Ironically, You don't even need to take the back cover off to put a belt on. In another video, I'll show you a trick to a machine that's installed that needs a belt change. Once you got the belt off, now we need to take off this nut here, and I think it's 9/16. In the kit, they give you another bolt, and the reason is because this bolt is fine thread. So be very, very careful when you go to thread this back on. Fine thread. Has a washer that goes behind it. Keep those together. Now this should just pull right off. There we go. I like to lay things down in reverse order. And there we have it. There's your back bearing. Now this one actually is starting to leak, even though this one isn't bad yet. This housing here that you see, this triangular shape, has to come out. It has a bolt on each end of this housing, and then it has 3 in the center. Now it has a nut on the back side because God forbid you make it so that you don't have to use 2 wrenches at the same time, but all of them have a bolt and a nut and a lock washer. Now whatever you do when you go to pull this housing off, do not bang on this. If you mushroom this out, you are going to fight getting this off the rest of your life. You actually might even have to grind this to get it smooth again. And you see, I don't know if it looks blue in there, that's that thread locker for that nut, that bolt. That's that thread locker. And I can get in there with the box end. Now you notice this thing, center and the outside are all the same, so you can't get that screwed up. I just like to put them together so I don't lose all the parts. Now I'll bring you back in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and take off the rest of these fun little ones. There's no sense in watching me take off bolts and nuts. Now, something I didn't show because it's not here is there's a hole on the bottom here, and there's actually a tube that goes to this, and it's the fill tube. And the hose goes all the way up here to the top to the fill sensor. So every once in a while you'll see these brackets, and they have like a hook, and it's coated. It's for the tube. The tube actually runs up on the back side of this, up here, up over the top, and then to that sensor. You really won't have to take it off. I'm just warning you, that'll be there. You'll see this plastic too. It'll be about 8 inches, 6-8 inches tall. Got all the bolts, all of them off. Now the fun part's pulling this off. If I'm lucky, it'll slide right off. If I'm not lucky, it's stuck. I'm not lucky. Like I said, if you get a 3-jaw puller, you go to Horror Freight, they have a set of them. I would recommend getting that for your laundromat. But you should be able to pull it off. And this is your bearing. You got your seal, got a bearing, and another bearing. Now at this time it's good to inspect your drum, your shaft of your drum. If you've let your bearing go a long time and it's really bad, this might be really bad. And see this oil? That is from a bearing going out. So I think this bearing was going out already anyway. But it shouldn't have that much oil on it. And your other bearing sits right here, but your main one's right here. And you want to feel it to make sure there's no grooves in it. And that shaft's good, so I'm not worried about that. Plus it's a parts machine now. So this is where the shop towels come in handy, if you remember where you put them. So now we got your bearing housing out. I hope that answers all your questions. Thanks for watching. Good luck putting it back together. Now I know I'm not a funny guy, but this bearing actually was going out. It's kind of funny because I didn't realize it. So what we got to do here is got to take this apart. Now I have a bearing press at home. I know what you're saying. You don't have one. I figured. So now the hammer comes in play and a chisel. and you literally just start working them out. Now what you want to do, I know you're staring at my feet, is I've got a 2x4, 2x6. 2x4 work well too, but you're going to want to make yourself something that has space under it. So once we start banging on this, we're going to pop out a bearing. Now this is actually a piece of thread rod. You could use a piece of steel rod or whatever, but you're going to hit it. You're going to want to alternate going around in a circle. You don't want to just keep hitting on one spot. That bearing will actually tweak, and it'll be easier if you hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. That's what you're trying to do. Eureka! See, it popped out. That's your nice big fat bearing. It's a sealed bearing, so the fact I see all the grease, that means it's becoming unsealed. Now this is important. This is your seal, and we're going to want to hang on to this for a second. Now what we do is we flip it over and we move our spacers a little bit. Do the same thing. Oh, well, that was fun, folks. See? There we go. Look at that. Like I said, if this video doesn't hit like a shitload of views, I'm doing a hell of a lot of work for 200 views. I really am. Saving you guys some serious Mondo money here. There's the other bearing. Now this bearing was had a little bit of grease. I probably damaged it a little more taking it out. That will happen. Now if you let this machine go and that bearing starts growling, it might be even harder to get these out. Now part of the Speed Queen kit for the bearing job is that housing, that aluminum housing. It comes in the kit. So the bearings are already pressed into it. That's one of the reasons it's so expensive. And the reason that Speed Queen does this is they want their dealers to be able to pull that off like I did, slap the new one on. They send this old one back to get refurbished. What do? If it's in good enough shape, and I'll show you one that's not in a good shape. If you let these bearings go, that aluminum housing actually gets cracks in it.